We're talking Packers today. I got a special guest, and typically I start these by asking if you could give me a word, sentence, maybe even just a syllable on the Packers, maybe the general feel, the vibes, last season, what's coming up. Where are you at? Where are you at with the Packers right now?
One word?
Could be one word. It could be a sentence. You could give me a paragraph.
Okay. How about golden for Mark, for Matthew Golden? I'm feeling golden about getting hopefully some real explosive receiving talent for the offense, at least on that side of the ball. Why we gave Aaron Banks? How about Golden and Banks? Because Aaron Banks is backing it up to the bank with $20 million a year for some godforsaken reason. Not feeling so golden about that, but there you go.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit, but let the fine people know who you are if they don't already.
My name is Marcus Whitman. I'm on YouTube, That Franchise Guy, Twitter at TFG_football.
I'll have all your
football.
I'll have all your links. It'll be in the overlay. It'll be in the description. But Packers, they end up going 11-6 last year. Had some injuries down the road. I was like looking at the final game of the season for against the Bears, and it's like y'all had Love get banged up in that game. Was that the Watson game too? He got hurt, right?
Yeah. Watson got hurt. Yeah, I want to say it was that Bears game. It could have been week 17, but things were really ramping up, like, to look good for a playoff run. And then by the time we got to the Eagles game, it was like we're down to like starting our developmental undrafted rookie tackle at guard, trying to block Jalen Carter. The wide receiver room for that Eagles game was down to wide receivers 4, 5, 6. Everybody was out. It was like, and Love was already kind of battling through this injury all season long. So after like, it was very, very much a roller coaster season, because week 1, Brazil, like a lot of hype for this year. The Packers, were very close against the Niners in 2023, just a play or two away from going to the NFC Championship. And it was like, man, things could be like Super Bowl is the ceiling for this team. Week 1, we thought it was all over. We thought Jordan Love's ACL was gone after, playing in Brazil. And then he's back 3 weeks later in what felt like a miracle recovery. And then it was kind of like, all right, anything we get at this point, like, I'll be happy with. But then, yeah, they were really starting to play good football. And then unfortunately, the wheels kind of fell off at the way end.
Yeah, last in one of my big fantasy league, my stack that year was Jaden Reed and Jordan Love. So like that first week, I was like, "What the hell, dude?
Yeah,
can't do anything."
Well, and what's cool too, and I know people are like, "Oh, what a homer! He's using injuries as an excuse." We played the Eagles better than anybody in the entire playoffs with all those injuries. So it's like, I'm just saying they could have been in that game if they had someone to throw the football to and more than a second to throw.
Yeah, I was looking at the EPA per play, and I mean, y'all were in the top 10 about everything. Rushing offense 7th, passing 6th, defense 9th against the run, 4th against the pass. And this was while having like one of the toughest schedules in the NFL. So it's like, okay, no, this team's exceptionally good. Just, hey, you lost to the Super Bowl champions. What can you do about it?
Definitely a nice, convenient excuse to use. Unfortunately, that kind of has been, I would have to add it all up, but I know for a long time that was what I would always use to like defend Aaron Rodgers, was like, yeah, well, we lost to the Super Bowl champs like every year for like 6 straight years. But that is kind of an overall problem for the Packers, and has been for a long time, is like they're consistently in that like 4-10 range, but because they don't really, I mean, it's been a little bit more in recent years, but they're not a huge destination for free agents, and they've really struggled to hit on their first round draft picks for the most part for the better part of a decade. There's obviously some hits in there, but their hit rate on first rounders has been well below average. So like in terms of getting those superstars that can really get you over the hump, like they seem to consistently run into the Eagles of last year, or those super powered Niners teams, or the Tom Brady Bucks team that had a superstar at every single position group. And it's just like, yeah, coaching and depth it can only get you so far. Not that they don't have great players, but they've just been like just a little bit behind those top teams every year.
Yeah, and I guess we could move to the off season, some of the additions, some of the losses, and we can start with like probably the most recent loss, Jair Alexander getting traded away. What was the compensation for that? I don't know off the top of my head.
They ended up releasing him. Actually,
it was a release. Oh, yeah, even okay,
which that definitely hurt. Yeah.
Oh man, it was wild. I did a mock. I think during the beginning of free agency, or it was right before, and I actually had, I think it was Baltimore moving up to, and it involved, and I was involved in players because it was like, okay, I'm gonna have fun, and it involved Jair Alexander.
It involved Jair going there.
Yeah. So it all came
reunited with Lamar. Yeah, they played in college together. Yeah,
that's wild. I mean, when we get to the roster, I think that's going to probably be one of the more interesting things defensively, like who's going to be, I guess, next to Nate Hobbs. There's a couple of guys you could fill in there. But other than Jair, what do you think was probably the biggest hit? Because, I mean, I guess Josh Myers, right? One of the most mid centers in the league. Yeah, they really didn't have too many notable losses. Just kind of double checking that off the top of the head here. Yeah, like everybody's pretty much back. And even Jair, I think it was more of a loss for like, it had started to kind of build into maybe optimism for next year's team that he was going to be their CB1. Because last year, I mean, he played 7 games. He was not available down the stretch. He was another one of those guys. He played like the middle heart of the season. Was not able to get back at the end of the year for that Eagles game, which is how you end up with, Carrington Valentine getting stiff armed 20 yards into the end zone against the Eagles. But yeah, Jair wasn't too much of an impact on last year's team anyway. He only played 360 snaps. So it's not a huge loss. It was more of like, well, what, like, why did they not draft a corner? Because that was coming out of the draft. It was like, oh, great. We didn't draft a corner until the 7th round. Jair's still here. There was kind of talks about like maybe they were going to work things out. So there's kind of optimism like, oh, cool, Jair is going to be back. And then they released him 3 weeks later. And it's like, wait a minute. What was the plan at cornerback then? So that's definitely kind of how that all played out. But yeah, for the most part, man, like it's everybody's back and some. Couple free agent additions, which I'm assuming is the next question. Yeah, we'll get there.
And then some of those guys getting back healthy. That weren't available. Like guys like Marshawn Lloyd, for example, was a miss. I wasn't the biggest Marshawn Lloyd fan, but they don't have any other RB2, and he does have a nice like explosive juice complement to a Josh Jacobs. He didn't really play last year, so yeah, like him and. That's I don't want to say it's the biggest guy returning for injury, but that's one that does kind of stand out that could be an impact.
Yeah, and I mean, y'all let Myers walk, which I mean, now you're moving Jenkins. I mean that.
I'm not too worried about that. I mean, he's not even going to start for the Jets. Like he's a replacement level center that it should be upgraded, honestly, because Elton Jenkins is going to slide over and play center.
Yeah, and then I guess Eric Stokes may be the next up there, but another guy that was hurt.
Yeah, honestly, it's easy to forget about Stokes. But right. You could argue he is the biggest loss from last year's team. He was okay-ish. It's not like he would come out and get picked on every single week. Like he only was credited with 329 yards allowed last year and he played every game. So that's pretty damn good, honestly. Doesn't really make plays. He actually had 0 passes defended. So kind of this weird deal where it's like, okay, a 62 PFF coverage grade. He didn't give up a lot of big plays, but he also didn't make any plays. He was just kind of there. But I think that's better than average play, at least for a corner. So
yeah,
that's probably the biggest loss, honestly, that I neglected.
Yeah, I like you said, easy to forget. But now you get Nate Hobbs with that addition, which, I mean, hey, that's a very, I guess, dog. He's just a dog. You could play inside, you could play out. You do a lot of fun things, but I mean, he's kind of going to have to play on the outside for y'all.
For sure. I like the signing. Gives you a ton of flexibility. I do think it's an upgrade from Stokes if he's healthy. Hobbs, I mean, both those guys honestly have missed a decent amount of time over the years, so it's a bit of a crapshoot. But they're clearly pretty confident that he can stay durable. I like, it's like most of the time when we sign a free agent, it's like they probably played in like the Big Ten, like because they're especially at like wide receiver or corner. It's like, okay, yeah, you know how to play outside in the cold, and you're not worried about that. So it wasn't a surprise that he was the guy that was willing to come to Green Bay. Not a lot of corners are kind of on Green Bay's list, I think, for free agency, but I think, the toughness aspect, inside out flexibility that was definitely a signing I was excited about. He came at a little bit of a discount, I think, because of some of the durability concerns, but still exciting. Yeah.
So is Bullard then going to be like slot main time, like primarily? Because it feels like y'all have a lot of good safeties on the roster.
Yeah, it's going to be like they're going to be kind of figuring things out. I think Carrington Valentine did play pretty well as an outside kind of CB3. So like I'm looking at the listed depth chart right now. Valentine's not even up there as a starter.
Yeah, they got Nixon, right?
They like Nixon a lot. That's kind of the problem here. I would have released Keyshawn Nixon personally if I was running this team. Like, he can't really play in the slot. He doesn't have the, like, in my opinion, the quick reactive twitch to hang in the slot, and he's been picked on a lot. When he plays that kind of like off zone corner, he's been a little bit better on the outside, but he's just so limited. He's 5'10". And I mean, he was a total special teamer when they brought him in. And I don't think he's really played his way into the starting lineup necessarily. It's been more of like by necessity. He's had to be out there. So I don't know. They like him. I don't like that they like him basically. But you're right. Like, you basically have 3 starting slot corners potentially slated to be their 3 starting corners, with Javon Bullard in the nickel, Keyshawn Nixon, and Nate Hobbs. They're all probably all best as slot corners. It's a wacky secondary for sure. I think the most like high upside combination there is Valentine and Hobbs on the outside with Bullard in the nickel. But I don't know. Once they got rid of Jair, it was right back to like, what's the plan here? The secondary is the core concern for this team this season, for sure, as it was last year.
Yeah. I mean, if y'all could hit home with the pass rush, won't be that much of a concern, right?
Yeah.
And that's
definitely the hope.
Dude, and
you got 4 first-round picks on that D-line that did not live up to it last year, and that was just confusing. Like, they fired their outside, or their edge coach. They fired him. I can't remember the name of who they brought in. But all these guys underachieved. Lucas Van Ness, they had big hopes for him in year 2. It did come on in the like last 2 months of the season when the defense was also starting to play better. Some people are writing him off. He was always going to be a 1.5 to 2 year project. Yeah. So the fact that the light came on a little bit at the end of season 2 is like, okay, let's see what year 3 looks like. I love that they didn't draft edge in the first round. That was kind of my fear, was like going with Micah Williams or a Stewart or something like that, where it's like, you just did this 2 years ago with Lucas Van Ness. Don't you want to see the project through before you give up on it? So I was really happy that they kind of are standing by him just to see what year 3 looks like. I think process-wise, that's smart. We'll see if the results come. Gary, you thought would be much better putting his hand in the dirt, running more of a 4-2 system instead of a 3-4. For one reason or another, you look at his body type, you would think that's true. But for one reason or another, he's been way better as a stand-up edge. So I'm curious if they look back on what happened last year and just have him stand up on third down a little bit more. And then Wyatt kind of is a good kind of 3rd or 4th pass rushing specialist. I think they're just fine with what they're getting from Wyatt. And then Kenny Clark took a huge step back last year too. So it's just like, if any of those guys played better, I think that the defensive line would have filled in just fine, but everybody kind of disappointed. And the defense really struggled, especially in the first kind of 2/3 of the season.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because there's like a ton of names on that defensive line that I remember liking from the draft. Kingsley Nagbari, Carl Brooks, even going back to like Brandon Cox. I was like, oh, he could be a nice little late round flyer. It's like, I mean, it makes sense that y'all double dipped at edge, I guess. I mean, soon, I guess later, but still taking a shot. It's not terrible. But y'all had, I was going to move to Aaron Banks now, who was really your only other acquisition outside of did y'all bring in Mecole Hardman? Didn't y'all?
Oh yeah, we did. We signed Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah. Okay. I was like, I thought y'all did. Golly, that's wild. But Banks, why'd y'all sign Banks, man?
That was like I had like Twitter rants on this thing. I was like, why is it always with Gutekunst every offseason, whether it's in his, I mean, he's had some really bad off seasons, but even in his good off seasons, which I think this was generally speaking a pretty good off season, there's like, it's always been 2 steps forward, 1 step back with him. And all the top teams don't have that 1 step back. And I think that's part of like why they've struggled to be in the top 4, which I think they're capable of. But like they shoot themselves in the foot with moves like this. There's so many things with this move that I just couldn't explain. Like, first off, just how much money they gave him. He's just not worth that money. He's like a low end starter, probably worth on the open market 8 to 10. Like compared to like Damian Lewis, for example, got like 13 per year last year. Aaron Banks isn't as good as Damian Lewis. So the fact that it jumped way up to like 19 mil a year. Now, what Packers fans threw in my face when I was freaking out about the sticker price was like, well, it's really just a 1-year deal that they can get out of. But why the hell are you signing someone with basically knowing the most likely situation is you're going to release him in a year? And that, like, yes, you can quote unquote get out of it. It's still a $12.5 million dead cap hit next year if they release him, which is a starting receiver. That's like a star safety. Like that's like what they paid to get Xavier McKinney on the open market. Like that's not nothing. That's just bad process. That is useful cap space that teams like the Eagles and Chiefs aren't going out wasting every offseason. And it's just like, okay, 4 years in a similar system in Kyle Shanahan's offense, a team that has developed offensive linemen really well. He has developed very, very incrementally. Like we feel pretty good about what he is. So the evaluation on him was just really confusing. And then the other thing is like, would you agree? What team develops day 3 interior offensive linemen better than the Green Bay Packers?
I mean, judging by your tackles, not many.
I mean, as long as I've been a Packers fan, we've never had to worry about center and guard. It's like they are so good, and they have 2 of the best offensive line coaches in the league, with Adam Stenavich as the offensive coordinator and Butkus as the offensive line coach. Like, if any team should have confidence that Jordan Morgan can take a step up as a guard, their first round pick last year, or that they can find guys that will develop.
Sean Ryan just emerged last year.
Right, exactly. Like it has been just a freaking pipeline of finding value at guards. So for the Packers of all teams to just come out and be like, Aaron Banks, 19 million. when guard wasn't even a need, it was just like, what? So I don't understand it. I hate, like, I'm almost never critical of a team for paying offensive linemen in free agency, because usually teams have to pay more than they need to because they don't develop this position group. The Packers actually do. Technically, it's a floor raising move, but the price of that value is just insanely disproportionate to how I view him as a player.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's safe to say he should probably be if things are going right, your 5th best offensive lineman on the field.
Yeah, him and Sean Ryan, they're like basically the same player.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Like, okay, Sean Ryan showed a big step last year. He's going to be a pending free agent. Like, okay, so we're now going to not be able to pay Sean Ryan because we're paying Aaron Banks $19 million, or we cut Aaron Banks, take a $13 million cap hit so that we can pay Sean Ryan. Like, what are we doing? This makes no sense. They're like the same player.
Yeah. Hey, at least you had a better draft, because Aaron Rodgers rolling in his grave there in Pittsburgh. You go out and get a wide receiver in Matthew. You can actually get a couple, but get Savion in a minute. But Matthew Golden, man, making it there. Because you had guys like Todd McShay. I think DJ too was like, oh man, this guy's like top 15. He's probably gonna go to like Dallas to the Cowboys at 12. And he makes it all the way to, what were y'all, like 22?
20.
22 was the Chargers, I think.
23.
23.
Yeah, 23.
Okay. I was in the ballpark.
You would think with how many mock drafts we do, we would remember that.
Dude, to me, it's a new draft class. That draft class is dead to me for the next 2 years.
Yeah. Until we revisit it.
Yeah, right.
And see how wrong we were about all these players.
Detroit Lions. Crap.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, man, I like the move there, because I feel like he's radically different than some of the receivers in your room. I mean, the Packers do a good job of having. You may not have that alpha, but you certainly have a lot of variety and spice when it comes to the wide receiver room.
I was over the moon. Like, I did not think we were going to get him. I thought for sure the NFL was going to love him. High character dude, like skyrocket trajectory that kind of took a little time to earn the targets at Texas. But once he did, like he looked like an alpha for them. Like he looked like Stephon Diggs type, like number one wide receiver, and just a true do-it-all player. And then it was really interesting to see the narrative kind of spin on him once he ran a 4.3. Like, people were all of a sudden against him once he ran that fast, because like, wait, I didn't think he was that fast on tape. It's like, well, you were cool with him when you thought he ran a 4.4.
Yeah, right.
And no one was worried about the speed on tape, and now you're like, okay, but he's not that fast. Like, he's overrated. And it's like, no, you're looking at this the wrong way. It's like, well, sure, he probably isn't that fast actually, but the fact that it might be in there is just should just be a benefit. So that was really interesting to see that whole thing conspire. I feel like people kind of overthought it a lot with that, because did you just see that narrative a lot too? I did like immediately after the combine. Oh, well, at first I saw the jokes about Isaiah Bond not running as fast as his teammate. Yeah, and, that whole thing. I don't even think Bond's on a team yet either, because he's got his whole crap going on. But yeah, that's just wild. Right? Yeah. Man, wide receivers in 40 times, man. It was like that with Tetero. Just, man, this guy's not going to go in the top 10. He runs all 4.55. And it's like, I'm sure Drake London and Marvin Harrison Jr. Drake London was not running the 4.5s, man.
Right?
That second digit was going to have a 6 in front of it, if not a 7. Like, come on now. And yeah, that Drake London guy's pretty good, but
not half bad.
And then after the 40 time too, I started seeing like people say, oh, this is their Christian Watson for Matthew Golden. I'm like, no, watch the damn tape, people. Like, this is not who he is. Like, this is their Devontae Adams. Like, that's what they're hoping. The best case scenario is you're getting a guy that can just run super polished routes with some of the best acceleration at the position you'll ever see. The first step burst is just ridiculous. The ball skills are, I mean, even way above what Adams were early in his career. The release package, the run after catch, like, they're hoping if everything goes right here, he can be their number one, their true number one that they can funnel the offense through. And then everybody else has the right role next to that. But to have some of the defenses have to really respect and focus their coverages on is, it could just change the entire math of the offense.
Yeah, and not to jump to like the third round, but I would argue that Williams is a lot closer to that archetype than Golden.
Closer to it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you loved Savion.
Right. No, I had a 5th round grade on Savion And then once they tweaked the kickoff rules so that I think now if you kick a touchback, do you get the ball in the 35 now? If you kick a touchback?
Oh, shucks. I know they touched it up. I didn't look at it.
I think they added 5, but I think it was the 30 last year, right?
Yeah, it was the 30 last year. I think it's the
35 now. So now I'm like, okay, we are actually going to see maybe what they were envisioning. Like that might be the line. I think last year, eventually teams just decided like, you can just take it on the 30.
Yeah.
So we didn't really see the kickoff rule that we were really excited about last offseason. We didn't really see it come to fruition. I think the 35 might be the line where special teams coaches are like, we should probably figure this thing out.
Yeah.
Because then you're one pass away from a field goal already. But once they announced that, I was like, okay, I could draft Savion on the 4th round because he has like Cordell Patterson potential as a kick returner.
Yeah.
That's where I get excited about Savion, is that plus like gadget plays. If any semblance of development comes and he starts to get into the actual like route progressions, great. But they ended up taking him in the 3rd round, a little bit higher than I would take that role. But it was just like the whole draft was basically slowly knocking me down from the Matthew Golden hype, because we draft Golden. I'm like, I don't really care what happens next.
Yeah.
Then the Belton pick happens. Like, okay, like I like Anthony Belton. I'm fine with that. Drafted freaky offensive lineman in the 2nd round. And then, it really went off the rails for me after that.
Yeah.
I didn't really like any of their other picks.
Day 3 was pretty interesting. To go back to Belton, is both Walker and Zach Tom free agents next year as well?
Yeah. So we should probably just like go through the offensive line situation, because it's a lot. I think it's the most interesting discussion for this team, because we talked about Banks. Banks is going to come in at left guard. Elton Jenkins is going to slide into center. And then they spent a 1st round pick last year on Jordan Morgan, who missed. That's probably who I should have mentioned when I said Marshawn Lloyd is a big player coming back from injury. Yeah, their 1st round pick from 2023, by the way, was essentially unavailable all year. So he's a college left tackle that they think has some guard potential as well. So basically, probably best to go by position here. So left tackle is Rasheed Walker's job. He earned that last year. 7th round pick on the last year of his deal. Limited kind of athletic and run blocking type of player. But again, he earned that job last year. And if he continues to play really well, they might want to pay him. But they're very much on the fence of like, kind of like the Bears also are kind of on the fence. They drafted a tackle in the 2nd round, and they're like, have
like with Braxton Braxton Jones.
Braxton Jones. Like, he's pretty good, but could we get better at a core position of left tackle? Yeah, probably. So it's kind of like evaluation mode at left tackle, and Jordan Morgan's going to be kind of in that mix, but it's going to be tough because Morgan's competing at the right guard spot this year. So like, left guard's locked in. That's going to be Banks. Center's locked in. That's going to be Elton Jenkins. And then you've got a competition at right guard between Sean Ryan and Morgan. And then if Ryan wins that job, then let's see how Walker plays at left tackle. If he struggles a little bit, if he regresses a little bit, do we give Jordan Morgan some snaps there and kind of see if we want to pay Rasheed Walker?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the clunkiness there. Zach Tom is going to get a mega deal at right tackle. He's a monster. And then, they draft Anthony Belton, who is just going to sit and develop. I don't think he's really like in the mix anywhere for this year, because like Morgan's going to be your first man in at either of the tackle spots if something happens there. And then I think Belton could be a tackle or a guard. I think that's why they drafted him.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of like going to sit, get good coaching. They're going to let the entire room play out. And then there's probably going to be a spot for him at one of the guard spots, whether it's we release Aaron Banks. Sean Ryan's also a pending free agent. So like if he doesn't take a step forward, they might let him go. It's so confusing. But I hope that I straighten things out for people a little bit with that instead of making things worse.
I mean, like in hindsight, knowing the contracts you have coming up, getting a year ahead. I mean, granted, you did pay Aaron Banks,
Yeah,
but still getting ahead of that. I mean, I wish the Dolphins had this problem. We're still trying to get an offensive line, but we can look at day 3 and what y'all did, because I guess the easiest way to start is we don't need to get into the nitty gritty of all these day 3 picks. What was your favorite day 3 pick?
Gosh,
as you roll your eyes.
I hated day 3, really. And honestly, it started with the Savion pick. I thought Sorrell was a pretty major reach. I didn't see it with him. I thought he was a high effort edge 4 type, like tested okay, but he doesn't really have power. He doesn't really have rush moves. It's like a decent run defender.
A lot of people got hyped about when him and Emory Jones went at it at the Senior Bowl. That was like really the only thing I saw hype around him for.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think Texas guy, the character's off the charts. Like that's kind of what you're betting on. That's kind of the what rings home with him most consistently is like he's just a great dude. You know, choir boys don't always win football games especially on the defensive line. I just didn't see him really winning reps. So I had him as more of a, 6th round talent. Maybe you were higher. Were you higher on him? Like,
no, I had him about that. Dude, it was a loaded edge class. Like, so it was like,
yeah,
those guys I guess where the Packers took them, I ended up being lower on quite a few of the edges than where they went.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like I don't know that there was a day 3. Honestly, the player I would say has the best chance of making an impact from day 3, from what I saw, is probably Nazir Stackhouse, who they got an undrafted free agent.
I was about to say.
I could see him because their backup DTs are college edge guys, Colby Wooden and Carl Brooks. They're like pass rush specialist guys. They lost Slayton. Yeah, was another
and he played like close to 500 snaps for y'all last year too.
Yeah, he was your kind of space eating, innings eater on the D line. I think Nazir Stackhouse could step in and do that for them right away as an undrafted pickup. We'll see if he makes the team. They did spend a 6th round pick on Warren Brinson out of Georgia.
Teammate.
I didn't like him.
Stackhouse.
Yeah, I like Stackhouse better. So we'll see how that plays out. Colin Oliver, I guess, would be the answer as far as draft picks for me in terms of fascination. Athletic kind of hybrid type in college that kind of like, okay, let's make him a true edge and kind of see what happens. But yeah, I mean, it's a dart throw on traits basically. So
yeah. Well, hey, at least you got Matthew Golden, right?
Right. It was an inverse of how I typically feel about Packers drafts, where like, wait, we took Quay Walker in the 1st round, but we got Zach Tom in the 4th. So just flip that and I'm fine with it.
And we could probably
say it was an inverse where I love round 1 and day 3. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. With the Dolphins this year, I was like, I didn't mind Kenneth Grant. And then I was stoked that we got Jonah Savanea. That was the guy I wanted. And then I saw it cost us a 3rd and a 4th round pick. And I was like, freaking Chris Greer, dude. All the freaking time, dude.
Yeah. Good luck. It could work.
Yeah. I'm sure it's going to work, but I'm not here to talk about the Dolphins. So we could segue to the offense because I think at least we talked a bit about the offensive line already. But this wide receiver room kind of needs to shake down. You're obviously not going to have Watson probably for the whole year. And then and then Romeo Doubs has his own struggles with concussions and whatnot, so he's probably not going to be available for parts of the year. Yeah, it is a super high upside group now that Golden's there. Yeah, I was saying heading into the draft, I was like, wide receiver should be their biggest need, honestly, because like you said, Dobbs, Watson, and Wicks,
those should be viewed as anything you get from them is house money type of players. You like them when they're on. Well, Wicks is a different story, but like Watson and Dobbs are awesome when they're out there, but availability has been a huge question mark for them. Counting on them to be starters for you is not something you should do. And then Wicks continued to be like a decent separator, but he literally dropped 20. He led the NFL in drop rate, 20%.
That's insane.
And I think I also saw, I think it was Warren Sharp put out like incompletions due to wide receiver error. And I think it could have been number one, might have been Chargers. Quentin Johnston might have been number one.
Hurts my heart.
But I want to say number 2 and number 3 were Wicks and Jaden Reed. Mostly because of drops, but also just kind of like timing and stuff. So Wicks is like, year one, you thought he was this kind of Jawan Jennings-y, like physical route runner, makes tough catches, like wide receiver 3 type. And then he just lost all of the consistency last year. So he's like wide receiver 4 through and through. Like anything you get from him is house money. Dobbs, now if he's healthy, great number 2 to have, route runner, very streaky, like contested catches, like the opposite of clutch at times, where he gets a tough target on third down. And it's like, it's right there, man. You got to come down to that. So hopefully Golden will be the reliable, like have to have it, number 1. The leverage of Dobbs' mistakes don't hurt as much. And then he's just a really good kind of like number 3, honestly, because Jaden Reed is the sort of perfect complement to Golden in terms of the slot work and the gadget touches. Underrated vertical threat too. So like those are your 2 core players now moving forward. And then we'll just kind of see how everybody else fills in for the year. But it's like the ship has been patched and we're able to navigate without sinking now that we have Golden and Reed. And then hopefully you get some fun contributions from everybody else.
Hey man, if Musgrave can stay healthy, 2 tight end sets. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about Musgrave. Dolphins want him?
Dude, we got Darren Waller out here making music videos.
All right, once he retires again in week 3, we'll pick up the phone, see if you guys want a little Luke Musgrave.
Oh, dude, I thought we were gonna make a bid for like a Michael Mayer or a Kyle Pitts.
Yeah,
and we didn't. Nope. We didn't.
You get the rapper that now gets to go play in Miami because that's not going to be that couldn't lead to anything poor.
Man, I have not been happy with the Dolphins. Like I didn't like I get it. Jalen Ramsey, he didn't want to be here. We weren't never going to get the compensation for him, but we bring in stinking Mika, who's hasn't been really great the last 2 years. Our secondary is already our weakest spot on the defense. And I honestly think they bring him in because we could get rid of him after a year. I think we're just blowing it up after next year.
I don't think it's crazy. Especially if Tua can't stay healthy. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. It's a sad state. Speaking of a sad state, you don't sound enthused about the running back room outside of Josh Jacobs. And Packers fans tell me Emmanuel Wilson is bee's knees as running back too.
Really?
That's what I get.
Well, they don't even like Emmanuel. Like the Packers don't even really like Emmanuel Wilson. Like they were giving Chris Brooks like core carries last year.
Dolphin great, by the way.
Dolphin great, Chris Brooks. No, Wilson's a fun like player for fans to attach to because he's like big, small school guy that's got straight line speed. He's had like when he gets into the right space, like, yeah, he's got traits for sure. And he's better than AJ Dillon was. But that's not saying anything. No, I mean, Josh Jacobs is the freaking man. So like, I have a hard time really feeling the need to get excited about anybody else. I do think Lloyd can give you a little bit more juice in like the screen game and some of that type of stuff. And, I think Lloyd is basically DeAndre Swifty, maybe not quite as shifty, but similar idea where it's a guy that just, couldn't find a hole at a Dunkin' Donuts, but like he's got juice. Like you put him on an outside zone and it's kind of hard to screw it up. So like he would be the guy that, like, if he can get healthy, you get a little bit more from the RB room, but they don't really need more. Like taking anything away from Josh Jacobs is probably only going to hurt the efficiency of the offense, because he's so good. He's so underrated. He got completely overshadowed by like all-time great seasons, honestly, from like Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley last year. But in a normal year, Josh Jacobs would have had the like fantasy RB1, like offensive player of the year debated season. Like he was awesome.
Yeah, no, he was great. Defense. Well, I guess before we jump to the defense, Jordan Love, if healthy, takes that next step. He's a little less careless, plants his flag. I am a top 10 quarterback in this league.
Yeah, I think it is very conveniently swept under the rug by Jordan Love detractors, because there's actually a lot of people that don't like Jordan Love. I think people conveniently sweep under the rug that he had what looked like was going to be a season-ending injury in week 1. And you watch him for the 10 weeks where he got back, clearly like he didn't trust his legs. He couldn't move like he used to. Mobility is such a big part of his game, not just scrambling and extending plays outside the pocket, but like those back-footed throws where he drifts away from pressure and still like makes incredible throws down the field. That was kind of like what you got most excited about. There was the touchdown against Dallas in the playoff win the year before, where like it's a zero blitz. Jordan Love basically says, I don't care. I know I'm going to get pressure in my face immediately, but he just drifts back off his back foot, drops a 20-yard dime for a touchdown. He couldn't make those throws. He didn't have the balance and stability to kind of have that type of movement. So getting that back, I think you just rewind the clock to how you felt about his quote unquote rookie season, the 2023 season, and just press resume. But this time it's with an actual number 1 wide receiver in Matthew Golden. So I think there's a lot of detractors on Jordan Love for one reason or another. And a lot of people have just kind of penciled him in as like, yeah, he's a tier 3. Some people think he's even worse than that, but like, penciled him in as this kind of like stagnated, kind of okay-ish to good quarterback. I mean, heading into last season, it was like, okay, Jordan Love and CJ Stroud are kind of like pressing the edge of that like elite QB tier, and we'll see what next year looks like. So like, I don't see, other than inconsistency in his game, which theoretically could get cleaned up, like other than just some sprayed throws, some bad decisions, like everything is in there for him to be a top 6 to 10 quarterback. I think, I'm not saying he is that, but I don't think we should write that off. If this year happens and he's still super inconsistent and he's got the better surrounding cast and he's healthy, I'm much more comfortable to admit, yeah, like he's in the 15 to 20 range, but a lot went wrong last year.
Yeah, I mean, despite that, again, 11-6, was in the top 10 of EPA per play on among everything. Points scored, points allowed. Like, golly, dude. With a hard schedule. I mean, you could say a lot went wrong, but in spite of that,
well, and people are gonna bring up the playoff game against the Eagles too. And yeah, he played bad in that game. Okay, put anybody back there in that game. I mean, we saw what Mahomes looked like against that Eagles team in the playoffs. Mahomes, the same thing happened to Jordan Love. Like, and it was a worse situation. Like, Mahomes' guys just got their ass kicked. The Packers didn't have their guys. They were trotting out, Travis Glover, who was a 6th round pick in 2024. He played tackle at Georgia State. I remember he came in at the Senior Bowl on like,
he was
day
late.
2. He didn't have his helmet. He was like a late addition. He had like one sick rep. He like stonewalled someone and then got his ass kicked the rest of the week. But I think he got drafted off of his Senior Bowl invite. Total, like, just lengthy Georgia State. There's like 10 of these guys every year, right? That come from the small schools that like measured long arms and they get drafted because of it. They had to play him at guard against Jalen Carter in that game. Like, that's where the Packers were at. And Dontavion Wicks had a core drop on a big third down. They're trotting out like Bo Melton and Malik Heath had to be like, it was actually Malik Heath. Malik Heath struggled to come down with like a catchable third down throw from Love that was like slightly off, but any normal wide receiver catches that ball. And it's just like, by the time the fourth quarter rolled around, it was a close game, but it was just like, the game's over. Like, we can't move the ball. We can't against this Eagles defense that is one of the best in the last 5 to 10 years. Like, there's just nothing the Packers could do in that game. So anybody using that game against Jordan Love, I just question your intentions, basically.
Yeah, I mean, look what they did to Washington, the new hotness, Jaden Daniels. It's like,
right.
There's only so much you could do against that Eagles team. But we can move to the defense. I feel like we've covered a good bit. You kind of went in on the defensive line, kind of cleared up a little bit of the corner situation. I think y'all are in trouble if like injuries happen, because the depth there is. Kalen, I didn't even know Kalen King was. Oh, different. Okay, I don't know why I was thinking of Kevin King when I saw that name.
Oh,
I was like, he's still in the
Kevin
league.
King. Yep, and Kevin King is still in the league. Actually,
is he really?
He's a safety for the Falcons. He played like 80 snaps last year.
No kidding.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I know. But freaking Kevin King, man, you're gonna get me so mad.
I saw that. I was like, but Kalen King, former Penn State guy. The depth's a little shaky.
It is absolutely shaky. I will say, like, the linebacker depth is pretty good.
Yeah.
Linebacker depth is pretty good. We'll see what Quay Walker can do in year 4. He's been getting incrementally better every year. It's kind of been what was projected by any reasonable person that watched Quay Walker coming out, was like, all right, he's an athlete, played at Georgia, has a lot to work on. 4 years into his career, maybe he can be a pretty good player. That's kind of where they're at, is like, he's solid. Missed some time last year. Cooper is like a superstar linebacker in the making. He did things as a rookie linebacker that you just don't see. I mean, it's the likes of like Roquan, and like there's very few rookie linebackers that did what Cooper did last year. So like, linebackers should be pretty damn nice this year. And like, they bring Isaiah McDuffie back for cheap. I thought for sure someone would poach him as one of these like year 5, like got some playing time, athletic dude, did some stuff. He's he frankly, to this point in his career, is a better linebacker than Quay Walker. You're hoping Quay can take a step above him this year. And then Isaiah Simmons is like a fun little addition too.
Right?
Yeah. So
another
we have Tyron Hopper.
I
Forgot we have a Tyron Hopper who they spent a 3rd round pick on last year too. Apparently they like him, but that's gone about as expected. So like, the linebacker room is actually pretty sick. Whereas heading into last year, I thought it would have, that would be a little more of a concern, but I think you feel much better about the linebacker room this year than you did last year. But yeah, corner for sure. It's just, you just need the D-line to be better, man. That's what it comes down to. Like, these guys are gonna take their losses. I think Nate Hobbs is an upgrade over, just because of expected availability. Like, Jair played 6.5 games last year. Like, Nate Hobbs should be an upgrade over that. And then, it's like, we're moving guys around. We're trying to scheme things up. If the pass rush can play better, I think the defense can be pretty good, honestly, because they were down the stretch last year. But certainly that's what you need. You just got to win up front.
Do you think maybe since this is year 2 of Affley, they maybe lean more into like blitzing? Because like Cooper, that was kind of a big thing for him at A&M. So maybe they lean into bringing extra pressure to protect that back for that secondary.
That was a bit of a surprise. Was last year they didn't blitz that much. I think they were in the bottom 10 in blitz rate, more or less. I think Honestly, I don't expect that, to be honest. Theoretically, yes, that would be smart, but I think they really do believe in their D-line, which is evidence in not drafting one early. They switched the D-line coach. If they do blitz, yes, like Quay and edge, like even if you're lower in blitz rate, you're still going to blitz. So like they're more of like, when we do send these guys, they're not going to be expecting it, and we're going to effing kill you with the linebacker blitz. But I don't think they want to make that the core of what they do and leave these corners on an island. They would rather win with 4, be efficient when they do blitz enough that it kind of keeps you on your heels a little bit. But yeah, I think they definitely take more of the approach of like, no, we have 4 first-round picks on our D-line with Kingsley as an edge 3 who's really good. We got Carl Brooks who can win one-on-one reps. Like we have 6 guys that should be able to win one-on-one. Let's make sure they're doing the right stuff. And then, yeah, you can double number 1 wide receivers and, have the right zone match stuff that these guys are helped out a little bit.
Okay. So, again, this team went 11-6 last year. We could move to the schedule for this year and come up with some fun ceilings, fun floors. I was taking a gander at the schedule, and honestly, it looks pretty solid for y'all. Looks a little easier than last year because you start the year at home 2 weeks in a row. Washington, Detroit. That's kind of nice. That's ideal.
Not in Brazil.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't see any international games for y'all this year, so in the clear.
No, I was really hoping we were going to get the Dublin game though against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. They gave it to the Vikings. I definitely would have gone if that's what it was. Rodgers versus the Packers in Dublin. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I think Dolphins have Commanders. I don't think it's Germany. I don't remember where. It's kind of irrelevant. It's Dolphins. It's all irrelevant. But and I mean, dude, coming out of the bye, you get the Bengals at home. So it's like, okay, that's great. That's perfect. Eagles, you get them in Lambeau. It's super favorable. Like,
if you're talking
Baltimore
about like
at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, no, you're totally right. And I'm just kind of looking at this for the first time with you, to be honest. I do like that. It's a fun schedule. I think if you're a bad team, you'd rather get the games you should win at home.
Yeah.
Knowing you just kind of take that underdog mentality on the road. If you're a good team, it's definitely the opposite. You want the hard opponents coming to your house, and then you go on the road expecting to win those games against teams you should beat. So yeah, the fact that it's Cincy at home, Eagles at home, Ravens at home, those are your 3 hardest non-division opponents. That's awesome. I think the fun thing about the schedule, looking at it, is you're going to kind of know where the Packers are at after the first 4 games. I mean, you got Detroit and Washington at home, like core NFC contenders. So you get to kind of show what you got there. You got an afternoon slot against the Lions there, and then it's Thursday night football against Washington. So within the first like 5 days of the season, we're going to have a good beat on where the Packers are at. Then they go on the road against 2 of the best pass rushes in the league, Cleveland and Dallas. It's not fun teams to go on the road and play, even if they have their struggles. But if you can walk out of that 3-1, you hit the bye week, and then you host Cincinnati week 6, like, and then after that things really lighten up. But it's hard at the front and hard at the back. Yeah. So.
And I mean, you're catching the Bengals right when they actually start their season, so.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they'll get their September jitters out of the way.
Yeah. I'm kind of bummed that they don't have Aaron Rodgers playing at Lambeau. Y'all got to take that to Pittsburgh. That's kind of lame.
Yep. And they should have gotten that earlier. They should have moved that up in case he gets hurt.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be like one of the core narratives of the entire season is that game. They probably should have flipped the Cleveland and Steelers road games for the Packers.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Actually, yeah, I want to take
hopefully everything goes fine with the Rodgers experiment in Pittsburgh, and it's still Still in. But yeah, the middle of the schedule, like Bengals at home against that defense, as good as Joe Burrow is, they'll be favorites in that game. Yeah, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Carolina, host the Eagles, but then you get back to at the Giants. So like you got a hopeful like maybe 5-1 or 4-2 stretch in the middle there. And then you got to really, really bulk up down the stretch where you got the Vikings twice, at Detroit, Bears twice, at Denver, and Baltimore at home. Like,
yeah,
that's a tough finish.
This is slowly morphing into like the AFC North from a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best division, top to bottom.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, you have all the hype with the Bears, so if that's your worst team in the division, I imagine.
Yeah, it might not be quite as top heavy as like the AFC West, but they've got the Raiders in there, which the Raiders will be frisky, but
yeah, they'll be fun. They'll be super fun.
NFC East, but you got the Giants. But it's probably the NFC North, like top to bottom.
Yeah,
is the best, most complete division.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, the AFC West would be the closest comparison there.
Yeah. It's going to be a gauntlet, though. Like, if the original question is,
let's
can they
start
get back
with the
to 11? Floor,
if
I think, is really high for this team. The floor was, I mean, last year was not the win total necessarily, but like in terms of everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Yeah. Like that last year was like there were parts in the season where the Packers didn't even feel like that good of a football team, and they still pulled things through because Matt LaFleur is one of the premium coaches in the league. Like I think I saw a top 10 head coaches list that didn't have Matt LaFleur's name on. I'm like, what are we doing at this point? Like he has won every single season, and last year was evidence of like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers isn't saving the day here. And like they have injuries left and right. Jordan Love is a shell of himself, and he's still out here scratching out wins with Malik Willis. Like,
yeah, golly,
he's the dude at head coach. He is probably the biggest asset that the Packers have going on right now. So the floor to me is probably a 500 football team.
Yeah.
That's where I have any team. If your floor is 8-9, 9-8, like in a true worst case scenario, like that's pretty damn good. I think ceiling wise, I still think this team is going to have a hard time beating the best teams consistently, which was their big problem last year. They were 11-0 against losing teams, I think, and 0-6 against winning teams.
Oh,
it was something like
Tua's record,
or at least playoff teams. They were undefeated against non-playoff teams and didn't beat a playoff team last year, I think is what it was. It's not going to play like that's just a mathematical improbability that it plays out that way again, but it is a good kind of scope at who this team is, I think. I still think with their secondary, and I mean that's really it, like being the thing that like good quarterbacks are going to find ways to pick this team apart unless the D-line can really tick things up, but it's hard to really count on that after they disappointed last year. So like I think offensively, this team's going to roll. I think they'll be better offensively. Defensively, the good teams will be able to kind of have their wins against them. So I would say ceiling is 12.
Okay.
12 and a half. Like 12 and a half. Yeah, 12 to 13. Flip of a coin in a tough game against the Vikings or something like that. Honestly, the biggest thing that might swing that is what happens with the other teams in the NFC North.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Packers are maybe the least polarizing team for the NFC North. Like, we kind of know what they are, I think, for the most part. Whereas Detroit had all the brain drain. Chicago is still in flux. Like, we'll see where that goes.
And then JJ McCarthy.
And the Vikings have JJ McCarthy. So, like, the Packers don't have that, like, core, like, what the hell is going to happen here type of factor, but I don't think they have the upside, arguably, of the other three teams either. So that's probably, honestly, especially with down the stretch, you've got 5 division games in the final 7 games. So like how those teams figure their shit out is probably what decides the ceiling for this team.
Yeah, that is a brutal stretch to end the year.
Yeah.
Now looking at it after the Giants game, because I mean, right, having all those divisional,
but it could change, right? Like if JJ McCarthy isn't that good and the Vikings are just kind of average, or they have all these injury-prone players too that they sign that look great right now, but like if they start to fall apart a little bit more, those could be much more winnable games. Or if the Bears do what the Bears do and disappoint, those are much more winnable games. Yeah. Detroit, I think, is going to be pretty damn good, but they've got some questions with all the change too, and with the retirement too of Ragnow was a bit of a loss too. So that O-line might be a little more beatable than previous seasons.
Yeah, and then I mean Baltimore at week 17 might not have anything to play for. Might already have, not necessarily they're the number 1 seed, but can't get the number 1 seed. You already have your division locked up.
That's going to be. I bet that gets flexed to a night game. I bet that's 100%. Like
they have
there's
it on
a good
a
chance
Saturday.
That's like there's a world where that's a Super Bowl preview type of like best team in the NFC, best team in the AFC. I'm not predicting the Packers to be the best team in the NFC, but there's a chance.
Oh no, yeah, totally.
I mean, like it's really like if the Eagles fall off for some reason, it would be that scenario. But like other than the Eagles, the Packers are right in that mix for like who could be the best team in the NFC is all I'm saying.
I feel like the Eagles, if they plan on going in with like, okay, Saquon, here's your 100 or 450 touches again, it's like there's no way like he's gonna stay healthy.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
The
last
Eagles
year
season was they pissed me off so much because they're so good. Like their front office is so amazing. They build this incredible team. And then, by the way, you're also going to be the most healthy team in the entire league from start to finish. Like they had a couple guys get hurt like week 3, like big whoop. Like they were full force from like week 7 through the Super Bowl. Tell me the injury they had.
Nakobe Dean, I think.
Okay.
And Zach Bond just,
your
became
LB2
an all-pro.
Yeah, your LB2 spot next to an all-pro linebacker. And then just Oren Burks, by the way, just another great pickup. Like he played out of his mind in the playoffs.
I feel like he's a weird guy. He always has moments. Like just coming off the bench and then it's like, oh, he's good for a little bit of a stretch, but
he was the one that forced the fumble. That was another it's like at this point, it's like I'm making excuse. It's just excuse territory. But you remember how that Eagles game started with the kick return fumble? Oren Burks forces the fumble on the kickoff, the opening kickoff. It was like, all right, we're going into Philly. We're going to get the ball. We're going to go score. We're going to take the game by the balls. Because the Packers are actually really good at that on the road, by the way, because LaFleur is one of the best opening game script play designers in the league. I think when Jordan Love is healthy, I know they're consistently in the top for like opening drive touchdowns. So that was like that's how we're going to beat the Eagles. We're going to get a lead early. We're going to get out in front of them and play the game we want to play it. Oren Burks comes down, punches the ball out. The Packers recover it, but after like a 45-second pile, the Eagles came out on top of it. They go to replay. There's a clear like recovery by the Packers under his hands, and then all the Eagles jump on top of him. The broadcasters are like, okay, great. It's going to get returned to the Packers. Like, that's a recovery.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, inconclusive evidence. Eagles football. 3 plays later, the Eagles score a touchdown. It's like, what the hell? Like, we were already super outgunned. We can't get this. So just another fluky thing on top of that game. It was just a very frustrating day.
Well, I can only imagine how frustrating it is for playoff teams like you.
Hey, that was nice getting the Dolphins in Lambeau in a snowy night game. That was a fun time.
You know what really sucked about that? I think that week I was just so done with like Jordan, like for fantasy. I was so done with Jordan Love. Like, man, he's not getting me points. He's hurt. It is what it is. So I also sat Jaden Reed, who I think proceeded to have like 4 receptions with a touchdown and just, go off on my bench. And I'm like, F this team, dude.
Just double whammy.
So rough, man. And I think I traded because Josh Jacobs began the year a little slow, I think, or at least a few weeks in.
Yeah, it was really just the Brazil turf situation. He was slipping all over the place. And like the first half, everyone was like panicking, like he looks so slow. He can't cut. This is a horrible signing. And then he changed his cleats at halftime. I think he had a good half. And then it was next week. Yeah. They leaned on him against, I think they had that Titans game the next week or something like that. But he started going off pretty damn quickly. I think it was literally just the field. It was just the field conditions in Brazil that got people freaked out.
I only bring that up because my fantasy draft was a mess. Because I took Josh Jacobs early, and I was waiting to get Jaden Daniels. And I ended up taking Jaden Reed, but he was like going to be my flag. So like I'm like, already now I'm so invested in the Packers offense. And then Jaden Reed got snagged right in front of me. And I was like, well, guess I'm taking Jordan Love. It was like Jordan Love, Tua. And I was like, well, I'm going to take the healthier option.
Right.
Yeah. Then I proceeded to trade Josh Jacobs really early after a few weeks to go get, it was like, oh, Devontae Adams, he's going to reunite with freaking Aaron Rodgers. And he did all right, but it wasn't freaking Josh Jacobs who I just traded for.
Josh Jacobs gets super underrated in fantasy, by the way.
So underrated, dude.
I always get him, and it's like, this is great.
Right?
I get like,
don't worry about
I get a true like elite RB1 in the second round. Like, thanks everyone.
Man. Well, thank you for coming on and explaining the Packers situation. There's a lot more to talk about here than I initially thought. Because I mean, again, only a few moves in the offseason going into the draft, but I mean, big moves, much to talk about there. But hey, go ahead, let the comment section know where they can find you if they don't already.
Yeah, That Franchise Guy YouTube channel and at TFG_football on Twitter.
All right, well, you enjoy your playoff run, and I will. I'll enjoy the off season, but I won't.
Thanks for having me, man. This was a ton of fun.
Yeah, you have a good one, and as always, till next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.